Hi everyone, and thanks for joining me for the new moon, November 7th. 11:02 a.m. Eastern Time, times will vary. New moon in Scorpio. 15 degrees Scorpio, new moon. Right smack in the middle. It being right in the middle right away gets me that, it's like this pivotal point. We're pivoting. And that's definitely happening because so many things have changed signs, are changing signs. Jupiter's going to change sign like within 24 hours of this. It's at 29:49. Sag, and it's going to go ahead, Scorpio, and it's going to move into Sag. I should have had this prepared, but let's just for sure see what time that happens at. 7:38 a.m. Eastern Time. 4:38 a.m. Pacific. Jupiter goes. So this is, 11 a.m. It's less than 24 hours the next day. Jupiter's going to go in to make a big move into Sag. It's just on the precipice. It's at that critical degree of 29 degrees. The nodes have just moved into Cancer and Capricorn. North node in Cancer. This is my nodal return, like on the dot. So this is like, I'm trying to figure out my own damn charts. Once I realize that all this stuff's going on, a lot of you astrologers will get this joke, how you just don't even look at your own chart. You're too busy looking at everybody else's. Like, I'm having a nodal return that day. Oh, check it out. Like, exact, practically. It'll be sometime that day. I don't know the exact time. A little bit after this. But it's changed over. It's changed from Leo and Aquarius into Cancer and Capricorn. Uranus has gone retrograde back into Aries. It's at 29 degrees, 58 of Aries. When did that happen? Uranus goes into Aries on the 6th at 1:50 p.m. So the 6th, 7th, and 8th, there's this huge shifting happening. Also, Chiron has moved out of Aries and back into Pisces at 20. It'll be 28 by then. So that was a while. That might have already happened. But the point is, everything is just shifting so much. This is a huge shift and change. And how appropriate that it was happening at the new moon in Scorpio, because what does Scorpio rule? What's the first thing you think of with Scorpio? Death and rebirth. Scorpio is change. It's constantly changing. It's constantly mutating. It's death. But with death always comes new growth. I realized I was having my nodal return. It's like, I got to take a break from work. And where I live, it's just, the colors are just gorgeous this time of year. The leaves are, I actually have a little footage on my phone. I'll maybe show it at the end of the video. But we have this place here called the Valley. Well, I don't know. It's not really called the Valley, I don't think. But everybody calls it the Valley, always has. And you descend down into this valley. It's a river valley, but there's a road that runs next to it. It goes for many, many miles. You can just drive for miles and miles and miles. And it's nothing. In this time of year, it's just breathtaking. And the minute I'm getting chills just telling you about it, I go down the hill. I'm just going down the hill. And the energy, I'm getting chills all over my body. Because the energy was so... there's a shift in the energy, no doubt. These colors, these vibrant colors start popping at you, and it's a shift. And it's a peace. It's a stillness. It's a peace. And I had this kind of revelation as I was driving. I felt like, the branches are all hanging down over, the canopy hangs down over the road, And I felt like they were all waving to me. But I did. I wasn't stoned or anything. I was just, driving in my normal consciousness, and, well, whatever kind of counts normal for me. But I felt like they were all waving to me, waving goodbye. And I got this sense of peace, like they're so okay with it. They're so okay with them dying. Because they know they're not dying. They know it's like, we'll see you next spring. Okay, see you later. And to the point where first I started waving back, and then I was opening my window and like reaching up, like air high-fiving them. Luckily nobody saw me, I don't think. They probably thought I was nuts. But then I started, before I jump to the rest of this story, but that's, people do that all the time. You walk by and you jump up and hit a tree or a branch. It's like we're always interacting. I have to do a whole video about trees because there's some major tree stuff going on with me lately. But here's the thing. They're gonna die. I mean, well, for all intents and purposes, it looks like as if they're dead, but they know they're not dead. They know they'll be back in the spring, and they're giving us this big send-off, this big glorious send-off, and it's just the energy is palpable. I can never say that word correctly. You don't have to be a psychic or a spiritual person, you know, to go, when you descend, and then the descending down, so much of it, so related to Pluto and the underworld, which is the Scorpio thing, you know, descending down into it, and it's just like you're going in another world. I mean, it's just, because up above is a lot of busy streets and traffic and everything, and then, you know, it's a complete shift in energy. It's a shift in altitude, I guess, and a shift in energy, and you know, it just was like the cycle of life. It's all death and rebirth. It's all astrology, is all a wheel. We go to the 29 and then we go to the 0 again. You know, we start all over again. And it's, you know, I was having all these big, profound moments on my cruise through the valley the other day. But, you know, it's something to think about. I mean, there's definitely shifts. So let's look at it in a little bit thing by thing here. Let's break it down a little, unpack it. So we've got the Jupiter going 29 Scorpio to 0 Sagittarius. That in itself is going to be a big switch in consciousness. Jupiter, if you're not familiar, Jupiter spends 1 year in each sign. So it's been in Scorpio. There's been all this deep, and Scorpio is the sex, and all these sex scandals have been coming out, and the sexual harassment and the Me Too all came forth, you know, during this the Scorpio, Jupiter and Scorpio. So now it's moving into Sag. Different energy. First of all, it's water to fire, so we're moving from water to fire. But also, you know, Sag. Okay, so Sag is 9th house. Sag is Jupiter. It's ruled by Jupiter. It's coming home to its own spot. You know, it's coming home to its own empowered spot, like Neptune is in its own. There's a word for that, but I always forget it. Neptune is in Pisces right now. It's in its own, and there's power in that. There's great power and magic in that. I'm hearing magic. Yeah, and 9th house, well, 8th house can be magic, but 9th house is magical too. It can be. It's enlightenment. It's expansion of consciousness. It's higher learning. It's your spiritual growth. It's higher education. It's long distance travel. But more than long, it gets that gets pegged on the keywords all the time. Long distance travel. But it's deeper than just long distance travel. It's because we have our tribes. We have our tribal. It's 3rd house, our little neighborhood, our little family, our tribe. You know, and it's really about more than just long distance travel. Because nowadays you don't really necessarily have to physically travel somewhere. I mean, it's great to do, but you don't. It's there. You can meet people of different cultures, and you can meet anybody from anywhere around the world that you want to right now through the internet, of course. But it's this coming outside of our comfort zone, long distance travel from our base point of where we were raised, how, you know, our cultural. The way they're showing it to me is like things that are getting piled on you. That, you know, and then Jupiter's like. Almost like coats, but it looks like a rock, so I don't know what's being piled on, but you know how you throw coats on a bed, say at a party, you know, and then it just gets buried, and cemented. It's cemented. This is who you are. This is your this is how we roll, you know. Actually probably 3rd and 4th house, really, but this is the circle we run in. This is the circle we run in down here, and then this is just way beyond our boundaries. And when you come out of the circle, you're programming. 3rd house could definitely be like your programming, you know, your early programming. And when you come out of that, you discover that there's a whole myriad of different things out there, and you're enlightened to it. It's not a warlike thing like Mars where you want to destroy it. It's like more of an understanding, expanded knowledge, expanded consciousness. So that's going to be sweet as hell, right? You know, that's going to be pretty cool. So then next thing, the nodes changing. That's major too. This is a little bit longer. I think it's, I don't know, 2.5, 3 years, something like that. So we were in the North Node in Leo. And the North Node is where we're going. and what we're striving for, and the South Node is where we've been. Both are very karmic. This is, your nodes is one of the big things that I look at in those soul readings. If you ever want to get one of those, tune in. It's a lot of your past life and the karma that you're dealing with. So, but the North Node, and in this chart it looks like the South Node is, but it's the North Node is really the true North, the arrowhead, the dragon's head, and this is the dragon's tail, I think, or something along those lines. But where we're heading. So let's examine this more. We'll get to that maybe, but let's look at this part of it more. So it was in Leo. So during the time of Leo, you know, you have to take the good with the bad, the positive and the negative. And some of the negative things that come out to mind to me right now is just the bloated ego stuff. And I heard more about narcissists during this time of the Leo transit. You know, you see narcissists everywhere. You know, that's like the big, well, you know, I don't know what you want to call it, the trend or something. Like years ago, it was the inner child, and then it's this thing, and then it's the shadow, and then and then lately it's been the narcissist. Well, that's Leo, you know, big time, the negative aspect of the North Node in Leo. So we were becoming aware of that. That was really coming out, and we were becoming aware of that, you know, in some of the leaders. And not just, you know, all over the world leaders. Some very narcissistic personalities, really, not just Trump, but, you know, different ones, you know. And this, that's the bad part of Leo. The good part of Leo, though, the Leo rules the heart. And people were uniting, you know, with heartfelt and wanting to help other people and, you know, coming together and when heart-centered kind of things like these marches and these different protests, and you know, these were all from the heart and the connection of the heart with the humanity. So that, but it was dramatic and big. That's Leo too. You know, it was these big marches and these big, you know, to-dos and these big events and big blow-ups on, you know, social media, because the South Node is in Aquarius, which I guess ninth house does rule social media, you know, expanded communication, but I feel Aquarius has a very strong, Uranus in Aquarius has a very strong, you know, as a contributor, I don't know how you'd say it, but you know what I mean, it has an influence over it. But back to this. So now it moves from dramatic, look at me, bold Leo into 29 Cancer, the nurturer. 29 Cancer, this is the nurturer. This is helping people. This is being empathetic. This is also bringing it home. Because Cancer, and at the time, is this correct? Oh, this is an Aries chart. No, never mind. Wrong. Where is the ascendant? Do I have that here? It's conjunct to Saturn. Oh, the ascendant is conjunct to Saturn in this chart. Well, we're going to talk about all that Capricorn in a minute, but let me get back to here. Oh, this one changed signs too. Juno one is down here, retrograded into Taurus. It was in Aries. But back to this. So, bringing it home. Maybe not all these so much, the big demonstrations out on the street. Maybe more bringing it home to your own home and family. Maybe healing, helping with the healing. Not wanting to be glory, have all the glory, and I'm the right, my thing is right, and I have all the glory, and I have all the power. But more helping, healing, nurturing through healing energies, the healing arts I'm hearing. But also it's Cancer and Taurus both, but Cancer is food. You know, it's food. That's a big thing, or sustenance, how we nurture ourselves through nutrition and food. And, you know, the water and everything. So these types of things could, outside of the political arena, you know, this could have, we could have big discoveries, I feel, coming through here while we're in this vibration. You know, we could have moving more towards, you know, homeopathic, more towards organic, more towards old, you know, from the cooking, you know, with raw ingredients, not processed foods. That's what I was trying to say. Like your grandmothers did. You know, your grandmothers and your mothers, and I'm hearing your babushkas, and you know, those people. Your family of origin, your family line. You know, it's about examining. It is inner child work. It can be. You know, that could be valuable to do during this time. You know, going into that. You know, how you feel nurtured, nurturing yourself, these family line things. So it's a completely different. One is the Leo is very extroverted, and the Cancerian energy is very introverted. There's always the dichotomy. There's always the opposition with the nodes. So let's jump over and look at that. The South Node in Capricorn. It's going to come through, and it's going to hit Pluto, and it's going to hit Saturn eventually. So this is some powerful stuff. I wonder if the node is going to... There's that big Saturn... it's at 2020. We're going to have that Pluto-Saturn thing. That thing, you know. That conjunction. The Pluto-Saturn conjunction is the nodes are going to be in that vicinity. Well, they're going to be all in the same vicinity right away. I can see in July. I just opened to this page. And look at during July of 2019, we're going to have 17 South Node Capricorn, 17 Saturn, and 21 Pluto. So very close orb. So this is, you know, I knew the Saturn-Pluto conjunction was coming up. You know, people have talked about that, but not realizing that the South Node is going to be involved in it too. So that's some heavy-duty stuff, man. This is some heavy-duty stuff. They're talking about something toppling. Like world, you know, well, that's been said before, you know, but it's more like governments or world powers or toppling. Well, we'll probably start talking about that more when we get to July, but for now, this is going to, I'm hearing like this is going to clean house, and I'm also hearing the sins of the father, the sins of the father. I keep hearing that. So the sins of the father, well, what's the rest of that? I think they're revisited, aren't they? Isn't that what that term, the rest of that saying? I want to look that up real quick. The sins, yeah, of the Father quote. Thank you. The Lord is long-suffering and great mercy, forgiving, blah, blah, blah. Okay. By no means guilty. Visiting the inequity of the fathers upon the sons of the third and fourth generation. You shall not bow yourself down to them, nor serve them. Let's look at the meaning, because that's kind of... Well, I mean, let's not keep doing this. I don't want to lose my vibe, you know, but if you have some thoughts on that, please do put them in the comments, you know. But I always heard it, my remembrance of it, or my memory of it is, the sins of the father will be revisited upon their sons or something. But I think that was pretty much what it was saying. But it said something about third or fourth generation, and that third generation, that's it's a product brand, but I think it also, you know, it talks about, you think about, I think it might even be a Native American credo or whatever. You know, you think about how it affects, you know, 3 or 4 generations ahead, so. Because this is the past, though, to me it feels more like the sins of the fathers, the bygone. Even when I was talking about this, they were kind of directing me in that way, you know, in that I was getting pulled to talk about grandmothers and stuff like that. So, you know, this sins of the father thing. Well, I mean, it could be both. It doesn't have to be only going backward, but I feel like a lot of it's going backward because of the South Node. It rules the past. So, well, you know, 3 generations ago, that would have been about the Industrial Revolution, right? You know, right? Is that about right? 3 generations ago for me, you know, that was the last turn of the century. And that was the Industrial Revolution. And that's when we started really just destroying, you know, all the environmental stuff. We really tore into that and really started screwing it up. I mean, it could be that. It could be a lot of different things. Capricorn really is more about money, though. You know, Capricorn, Saturn, that all rules. Well, its rulers is Saturn. Let's start there. Saturn, Capricorn, right? So now that the node is in South Node moved into Capricorn, it's ruled by Saturn now, as is Pluto, as is Vesta, and as Saturn itself is also what we talked about earlier in their own sign. So. So there's this big hangout in Capricorn. These two have been brushing up against each other for a while. There's been this energy in here. You know, there's been, and other planets, Lilith was in there for a while. So we're already examining, you know, this is coming to a head. This is becoming, in the zeitgeist, you know, visible and a thing. You know, it's become this thing of the greed, the power, the capitalism, the, you know, wanting to be at the top of the heap and have more money, industry, you know, all that. That's the downside of Capricorn. And it's kind of been just really bloated out and really I'm not finding the word, but the point is, here comes the South Node, okay? The South Node is coming through here is not going to, it won't be stable. It won't be allowed to, it's gonna bring up all the past stuff, all the good. You know, here's the thing. Like, this thing was like, oh, my grandma's recipes, I was on that vibe. So with this node, that's the balancing of these two powers over here. It's to the traditional male role of being the breadwinner, going out and conquering the world, and then staying home and taking care of the home and family. Okay? So both of those are very much changing. We've been leading up to that. It's changing. It's changing in the roles. That's not necessarily, there's many stay-at-home dads now, you know. It's not necessarily a male and female role anymore, but a lot of that dichotomy still remains, you know. So we got to examine all this. We got to take what we want and get rid of the rest. You know, this isn't going to happen again for 18, 19 years. So this energy is always, what occurs during these transits are kind of in place for the next 18, 19 years. I mean, there's always other factors playing into it, but basically that's it. So we're going to take what's good, we're going to take what we like, what we want, what was good, and we're going to bring that forward into the next cycle. And same here. And a lot of that's going to go by the wayside. You know, I think it's going to take powerful energy like Pluto and Saturn to really make any changes on this side, because this side is so much of the power and the money and the greed, and we're going to go to war or whatever it takes so I can have more, you know, more of my piece of my pie. Also, what just came to me with this ninth house and the people of the world, you know, it's more about not just worrying about me, mine, and my own, but the whole world. And nowadays, you don't have to be a missionary and go travel to these foreign countries necessarily, where people are really impoverished or starving or in need of medical attention and different things. You can do so. So it's changing. There's so much change. There's so much changing. Chiron's gone back into Pisces. I mean, we're going to have to re-examine all that stuff again. All this deep, dark, wounded healing stuff. And then with the node in Cancer, maybe that'll give us the energy to really do it this time. You know, those little remnants that if you didn't heal it that whole time when it was going through here, then you got one more chance. The energy of Cancer is much more nurturing, conducive, loving, more conducive for healing than Leo would have been necessarily. The other thing about the up and down side, you know, in the energy of Cancer, yeah, it's great to give of yourself, but the Cancer energy can get run dry, get used up. You can't just give of yourself. You have to have something to refill up your cup. You know, you have to fill up your cup. Leo is very good at filling up the cup. Cancer, not so much. You know, and it combined with the Chiron, you can get into that martyr energy. You know, that guilty. I sacrificed my life for you. It's not funny, but you know, I'm just being a little lighthearted about it. Uranus going back into Aries too now from Taurus. Excuse me. Drink of water. we are going to re-examine our warrior stuff. I'm getting a cough drop too, because I'm losing my voice a little. Because Mars rules Aries. Okay, Aries is the god of war. Uranus going back into Aries. We need to re-examine this, you know. Fighting isn't, the old ways of fighting just aren't working. And we're, with Uranus, people are fighting on social media and on the internet now. You know, I was just, what was I thinking? Oh, what came to me this morning, I heard the pen is mightier than the sword. That's an old saying. And it means, there's been a lot of changes. Well, it's not the pen anymore, it's the, not typewriter either. What do you call that, your keypad? You know, whatever they call it. I'll just call it keypad. I can't think of it right now, but that's another thing that's been really being challenged lately. You know, the pen is mightier than the sword, meaning you write, you know, you pass out materials and the news, what would be the equivalent to the news in modern day, you know. And, you know, mainstream media, the pen is mightier than the sword. Well, not anymore. I mean, the pen has gotten... the thing about that statement, it was meant to be so dignified, and so the pen is mightier than the sword, you know. It's like... It might have come up like of integrity, you know, of I'm not going to succumb to my animal instincts and punch you in the face. I'm a reasoning, I have intellect, I can reason, I can, you know, my thoughts, I can convey my thoughts in an intelligent manner. I don't have to resort to beating you up or getting into a physical altercation or whatever the case may be. But there's, you know, there's not a lot of, and it's not just the news channels, it's just those, what do they call those? There's some keyboard warriors too. Why can't I get over that word? But, you know, that they're on their computer in their basement with some fake name and some fake picture or no picture at all, you know, and then they're all brave and they're going to talk shit, you know. Well, you know, that's not very dignified, or that doesn't show a lot of integrity, you know. So I don't know if the pen, you know, the pen and the sword thing is being challenged in some way. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know why that even came into my mind this morning, but it did. And I started thinking about, you know, the people just, trolls, you know, just trolling away over there. Then this, okay, Uranus is going back into there. That's not good. That's going to be pretty short-lived. That's going out fast, isn't it? Yeah, it's going to, oh no, that's this July. I think it's, let me just check real quick on that. I want to check a couple things in my ephemeris. Most of you watching this know what an ephemeris is, but it never fails when I pull out these ephemerises. People write in the comments, what kind of book is that? It's called an ephemeris, and they have them online as well. Yeah, it's still retrograding through December, but it's short-lived. That's coming back out quickly. That's not going to be in there much longer. Juno going back into Taurus from Aries. Juno, I mean, the asteroids all move pretty quickly, except for Chiron. It sticks around for a few years, but the rest of them move around pretty fast. Yeah, I'm not really picking up any vibes on that right now. I'm not getting a strong vibe on that. I'm pulled over here. This is getting into a long reading, so I'm going to look at this and then we'll probably wrap it up. I might have to do a video on trees. I've been having all these crazy tree things, though. But anyway, so Ceres conjunct Venus in Libra at this time. Also at high degrees, though, 26, 28 degrees. Venus also retrograding. So there's 15, you know, it's this pivot point, because you go 1 through 30, basically, you know. And 15 is the middle point. So we're pivoting. And we're pivoting from the 29 to the zeros. You know, we're pivoting on one energy and the other. It's a tween time, and I just feel like it could, you know, I should do it this way, you can't see. It could go either way, you know. But Venus conjunct Ceres, that's really good. In the sign of Libra, one of Venus's natural rulers, Venus in Libra. I feel the real one. I feel once we change, Taurus is going to find another ruler. I think Venus will stay with Libra. Astrologers will know what I mean about that. I don't want to spend too much time on that. But anyways, Ceres and Venus together. Ceres is the goddess of the grain, always relates to food, abundance. The temples of Ceres, you know, she was a highly revered goddess, as was Venus, you know. And this is, again, this divine feminine energy is really shining through. With the Libra, at the sign of Libra, at its, hopefully at its best. Libra always wants to put their best, maybe it's even to their own detriment. You know, they always want to put their best foot forward, put on a happy face. What I was just talking about, you know, with the warlike, you know, Venus is the antithesis of that. It's the opposite, because it's the opposite on the wheel, Mars and love. You know, Venus and Mars. Also the feminine. Women are from Venus. Mars, you know, it's the same, the masculine, feminine thing. So that's an ongoing thing, that we're balancing those masculine, feminine energies. And, you know, the Jupiter and Scorpio helped along with that too, I feel. You know, that because people are transgender, this, you know, you don't have to adhere to these two camps. You know, you can be everything, whatever your heart desires. And being more of your true self, you know, digging down deep and finding your true, what you really are. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's when you are in your true power, right? That's when you're most powerful. When you're really who you are. And again, this thing that they were showing me earlier with the piling on, the piling on, the piling on. You know, fit in, don't be different, you know. Venus in Libra is expressing of all your beauty, you know. Express your beauty, express your art, express your love, express your creativity to its fullest, you know. And Ceres, you know, applied, if this is applied, this could be some solutions could arrive. We could come to some solutions for some things with food and famine and dealing with food and waste of food. I mean, the food is such a huge issue. I think that's one thing that's going to really be looked at, hopefully, while we have this node in Cancer. Food and medical, you know, medical care. I don't want to be a broken record about that, but that's something that's really screwed up, you know, that Americans don't have health care for everyone. I mean, that's just totally screwed up. But, you know, here it is. Topsy-turvy. Pivoting. It's a pivotal point. Can go either way. Let me jump over to my website real quick and we'll come back and look at that one more time. What was there? Something else I was thinking about looking up while we were just talking. Went right out of my head. Okay, so yeah, I got a lot of readings, and by the way, I wanted to mention the 2019 year head readings are available for a limited time. That's always really popular. If you are interested in that soul reading thing that I was just talking about, you can find that. That's this one, the soul reading. It's an astrology reading. If you're interested in me looking at your nodes and stuff like that. I have art, books, they're all great gift ideas if you're doing some holiday shopping, and you can find them all under my main website. Anything else I wanted to mention? I'm working on something new, but I was actually wanting to launch it on this new one, but there's just no way I'm going to get it done. Plus there's a lot of retrogrades, so I'm going to hold off. I'm going to stop killing myself trying to get it done in time. And it'll come in its own good time. Yeah, but the shift, it's a shift of seasons, and in the southern hemisphere you guys are coming into your spring, I realize that, but I think the majority of the viewers are up here in the northern hemisphere, and we're moving into fall. And it's like the earth is going to sleep. It's like the story of, you know, the Scorpio, Pluto. Isn't that the Persephone story, underworld? I mean, but I just got this sense, and, you know, everybody loves the leaves, you know, because there is this sense of peace. There is this sense of, you know it. If you've experienced it in person, you can feel this energy. Okay, yeah, let me, we'll go out with, I have my phone here. I should have the video right ready to go. So it's not going to be the best view, and my finger's in it for part of it. But if you're in a place where you don't get to see the leaves change, here, this will be for you. Remember, you are love and beauty incarnate, and have a great new moon in Scorpio. This is a little bit of the, I know my finger's in there for a little bit. But it was just totally gorgeous, totally a beautiful thing, and really helped me. It's so healing and such a wondrous thing. It's actually still a little green. This was like a few weeks, maybe a few days ago, last week. I'll probably do at least one more cruise through a good portion of the valley as the leaves get to the really peak. I think they're actually peaking about right now. But it's a weekend, and I don't like to go when there's a lot of crowds. I like to go when it's not that crowded. Okay, everyone. New moon in Scorpio. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great new moon. It's a whopper. It's big changes in energy. Hopefully my little reading here gives you some insight. Have a great one. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.